Staying in touch is just a few clicks away. Get the latest news from a Catholic perspective and so much more. Become a RealCatholicTV.com premium member today.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium. CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Confusing closings. It's a scene that is being repeated in dioceses and archdioceses all around the country, if not all around the world, as another round of church closings are being announced. Yesterday it happened in the Archdiocese of Detroit when the announcement came from His Grace Archbishop Alan Vigneron and the Archdiocesan Director of Communications, Ned McGrath, standing before cameras in one of the churches threatened with closure and in front of an open tabernacle as though it were to always be Good Friday. The Archbishop announced the closing of 2 parishes. Another 51 may cluster or merge with another parish, and the remaining 214 parishes must come up with a plan that may include closure. And although the Archbishop struggled to try and put a pastoral face on the closings, saying it was mostly due to a shortage of priests, it seemed clear to both media and parishioners alike that the reasons spoken appeared to be a veil drawn over deeper problems, resulting from years of confusing the faithful with doubtful adherence to the mind of the Church regarding catechesis, liturgy, and the discipline of the clergy. Here are some excerpts of the Archbishop's comments.
What I'm trying to do, what we're trying to do, is not unlike what General Motors or Ford or Chrysler is having to do. We are seeing a decreased participation by Catholics in Sunday Mass. The statistic I have is that half of the people in my diocese who claim to be Catholic register in their parishes. And of those half, only 30% come to Mass. And in fact, as I understand the statistics and look at the analysis, this is not a Catholic problem. This is a religion in the United States problem.
Yesterday's press conference at Pope John Paul II Church in North Detroit lasted approximately 1 hour, with the members of the media nearly outnumbering the parishioners present and some protesters outside. It appears that the Archdiocese has chosen not to fix the problems, but to kick the can down the road. To read the Archbishop's full statement regarding the closings, just click on the link right outside the screen. New Viability Standard. A Supreme Court justice in Alabama says the outcome of Roe v. Wade in 1973 is erroneous, implementing his determination on the outcome of one of his cases. After a woman 3 months pregnant sued her doctors for the wrongful death of her baby, Judge Thomas Parker threw out the proposed notion after the doctors claimed the unborn child was not viable, saying the viability standard set by Roe v. Wade should be abandoned. Case law was also heavily cited by Judge Parker, pointing out that 38 states have enacted fetal homicide statutes, 28 of which protect life from conception, including the wrongful death law in Alabama itself, which applies to an unborn child at any age of gestation. His opinion was signed by 3 other judges, and pro-life advocates say the outcome of this case will be efforted in other states as well. Roe v. Wade is meeting with more challenges south of the Mason-Dixon line as Virginia's Unborn are reconsidered. Laws fighting the evils of abortion have pro-death supporters reacting in Richmond, Virginia, as what the Associated Press calls hundreds gathered in a silent demonstration outside the state capitol. Pro-death activists are reacting to 2 bills moving through the General Assembly in Virginia, an ultrasound bill and a personhood amendment. The ultrasound bill, requiring women to have ultrasounds before having an abortion, has passed the House and the Senate, and Catholic Governor Bob McDonnell says he will sign the measure, though he has not commented on the much-anticipated personhood bill, which has passed the House and is pending in the Senate. What is being called Marshall's personhood bill would define life as beginning at conception and would reverse the ruling of Roe v. Wade for the state of Virginia. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web. And RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Coercing Canadian children. Canada's highest court is condemning religious freedom, ruling that parents cannot pull their children out of a class that exposes them to a host of different religions. Quebec's Ethics and Religious Culture program became mandatory in schools in 2008 and is meant to expose children to Judaism, Aboriginal spirituality, and other religions while teaching them about Catholic and Protestant traditions. An unnamed family in the province took the school board to court after their children were refused exemption from the course because of, quote, the disruption caused by forced premature contact with a series of beliefs that were mostly incompatible with those of the family, according to court documents. The case was considered to be one of religious freedom versus the Quebec School Board, but it looks like the family will be forced to educate their children as the government sees fit. Sex changes on the rise. Subjecting children to sex changes is on the rise in the United States, as it has been in Australia and England, among other countries, for some time now. According to a recently released report, 1 in 10,000 children are being diagnosed with what is being called gender identity disorder, described as a psychological disorder that begins at an early age, and which parents are starting to seek treatment for children as young as 4. One Boston hospital has a gender management service clinic that has seen a 4-fold increase in patients since it opened in 2007, while clinics in Texas and Los Angeles have seen similar increases. You can take a look at more in-depth information on this subject on our resource page by clicking on the link right outside the screen. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. Also be sure to check out The Vortex, where Michael comes to us from the Philippines to talk about bishops. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell all your friends about us. And as always, God bless you.